All right, good evening, everyone. Futures Barizio here. Little late here. Sorry about that. Just got home. It's 9:30 p.m. New York time on Tuesday, March 11th. Hope everybody had a great day today. And I just want to do just a quick wrap up of today's trading action review. Uh, two or three trades that I took, and just like I said, just do a quick review. So if you're watching on the live stream, make sure you jump in and say hello. I do have the comments turned on if anybody jumps in. But if you're watching this later, recorded, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're just finding it for the first time. And of course, any questions or comments, make sure you leave them in the comment section, all right? But make sure you like the channel anyways, okay? It really helps the YouTube algorithm. All right, so let's just jump right in on today. And so I took two trades in futures today. So the first one here was in copper. And we'll just zoom in a tad bit on this. We're looking at the 20-minute chart. I don't know what happened to the arrow here. But anyway, here was the trade. I actually just got out of it. I had a trailing stop. I didn't purposely get out of it. I had a trailing stop that price went down and hit, which I'm a little bummed about because I do think this is going to keep going up. But anyways, the trade was here. And basically what we had was we had this previous big rally here. Let's go out to a 4-hour chart. Came up here. Now, I was concerned that we had put in a lower high when price rallied up and hit this area. This was back on March 6th. So this was back on last Thursday when we hit this high here. And price continued to come down. But then today, we had this large bullish engulfing candle just blasted right through the trend line. Now this happened earlier before I was on the charts. Let's see what time this was. This was at 8 o'clock. So yeah, this was about 3 o'clock in the morning or so my time. So I, of course, was not on the charts. But when I got up, I did see that. I'm like, well, it looks like our uptrend has continued. And so what I did was I just waited and I wanted to see kind of like a retest. And so price broke through, came down, retested the trend line, which was acting as resistance. Now it came back as a support. This is pretty classic. And as soon as I saw this bullish candle, I jumped in. That's where my entry was. And like I said, I just got out literally about a half an hour ago, less than 15 minutes ago, because we're still on the same candle. And so it was a pretty good trade. And I took it on my personal and my funded account. I do think that we will probably go up here and revisit this upper level. I mean, maybe we'll blast right through here now. I mean, after this really big impulsive move up, and the way this price action is looking right now during the overnight session, this looks pretty corrective where, just kind of slowly rolling over and we could probably shoot back up again. But we'll see what happens. I still do have a little bit of concern about this lower high that was put in. That price really struggled, but like I said, maybe this was just the first wave of a larger impulsive move from a higher time frame that we had, go up, come down, and now we'll blast higher here. I don't know. It's just one of those things we'll have to wait and see what it does, but it does look at least short-term bullish, at least back to this trend line up here. We'll see what it does. So that's copper. I did not take any trades in the DAX today. No, actually, I'm sorry, I did. This was the other one I took. I was going to say crude oil, but no, this was the other one, the DAX, and you can see where I took it right here. And I'll zoom in again, and I took this around, what time was this? 12, so this was around 8 o'clock this morning. 12 on my broker's chart is about 8 a.m. Wow, that's a really small little arrow there. We need to make that bigger. I can't even click it, it's so small. Oh boy. Okay, well, you can see right here. That is where we took this trade. and I got out right down. I have my take profit set back at this support level where you can see prices hit numerous times in here. I talked about this in the last few videos, and so I figured it was going to make another push down because yesterday we only got down to right here. We'd failed to make it back to this level, and then we popped back up again, but I still consider this to just be a pullback. Got back over the 10 period moving average. And then this morning when I saw price kind of heading down again on the 30-minute chart, as soon as we basically closed back below this moving average, I just took the short. I put my stop above this swing, and I just put a take profit down at this support level, and that's pretty much where price went. It did go a tiny bit further on the subsequent 30-minute candles, but essentially, I got 90% of that move. And you can see we did pop out of there, so I do expect that we'll see price continue to rally back towards the moving average. This doesn't look very impulsive, so I still would not be surprised if we, end up seeing price, come up a little bit more and then eventually break lower and take out this support level. But we'll see. Again, I've had this box drawn on here for a while now. And you can see that, I'm pretty much maintaining the fact that until if and when price can take out the lowest part of this range, which is over here, which was back on sometime in late February, it looks like, then that would be kind of my cue to potentially look for lower prices. But as it stands right now, now that we traded into this zone today, I'm really not interested in taking any more shorts until we, can prove that we're going to take out this level. So price probably will rally, and then, as long as it stays below this last swing high right here that was put in yesterday, or earlier today, I guess that probably would have been either around this time last night or during the overnight sometime. This is a 4-hour chart. That as long as this area holds, then I'm still maintaining a bearish stance. But, again, since we did breach this zone down here, you do have to kind of respect that it's held this area several times, and that we may see a push higher out of here. But again, as long as it maintains this level and we don't take out this swing on the 4-hour chart, then, I do believe that the bearish price action is still intact. And if we do break through here and end up taking out again this low over here, which is the lowest part of this range, then I would consider that to be a continuation of the bear trend. And then if that happens, I don't think we'd see any other major support until at least probably back here. And if you're an SMC trader, smart money trader, this might not even be a good level either, because it's already been mitigated, right? We had price form this zone way back here towards the beginning of the year. It went up, came back, retested it, and grabbed any liquidity sitting here, and then went up. So essentially this area has been mitigated already, so it could actually go a lot further down. I suppose you could maybe point to this area as being an area to be mitigated right here. So maybe a short-term target, if it gets lower, would be back to here, but it could go a lot lower. So and fundamentally the stock markets in general are having some trouble right now, and so fundamentally I wouldn't be surprised if we see significantly lower prices. But again, until the chart shows it and we take out some of this support level, then I'll just sit and wait now that I took that trade today, and then we'll see what happens from here. Okay, so that's the DAX. On to natural gas. I did not trade natural gas today. I didn't know maybe if this trend line would eventually be taken out. This is this 1-hour trend line right here, 30-minute trend line. You can really see it. I did have a price alarm, as you can see off to the right here. Actually, you can't see it on my screen, but or maybe you can. I don't know. Let me see here. I got to move something around here, guys. Can I move this? Yes. But I still don't know if you can see over here or not. But essentially, off to the right, I have a price alert set up just above this swing high, but it never got hit today, and obviously you can tell price went down. So I didn't end up trading this. I did have that little trend line, which was broken. And so again, I do expect that we'll see price, much like copper, to probably, since that wasn't broken, I kind of missed taking the short today, but after I took those morning trades, I really wasn't looking at the charts much. But clearly, this is probably going to continue down, at least, back to probably this low down here. So again, probably somewhere inside this box, we'll continue to have shorts down to here, and then, we'll see. But again, this is kind of a 4-hour zone right here. So unless price comes down and takes out this low down here, so something like this, unless we come down here and take out this low right here, then you have to respect that this uptrend is still in place. Now this would be a very deep pullback, essentially 100% pullback, but it is still essentially in an uptrend. So we'll take this trend line off. We don't need that anymore. And so, like I said, if we can hold this area, although I do think price will work its way down, but as long as this zone holds, we probably will pop higher again. But again, if we come out of this area and break lower, then the next target would be, back at this swing, which was put in back at the beginning of March, about 8 days ago now, when this low was put in. And so that would be the next target if we can breach that. But at least in the very short term, I expect to see, lower prices here. Okay, at least into this zone. I'm going to have to adjust my recording settings on this because I'm cutting off a lot more of my screen here, especially on the right, than I want to. I just actually didn't realize that. Not that it's a big deal. There's really nothing over there except the price axis. But you can't see my little alert that I have set, which I'm actually just going to take off the chart anyways, because it was never hit. So I'm just going to disable that. So all right, so that is natural gas, short-term bearish, and we'll see what happens as we get back towards this level, if we break lower or not. All right, and then lastly, crude oil. So as I said last week, I've been saying, we do have this major level right here that price has been respecting. Now, we did actually breach it. Let's see here. I can't really tell. We can't go too far out here. We did actually breach it multiple times with these lows. 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically 5 attempts to break below this zone right here, which was lower than this low that was put in quite a while back in late October, early November of last year, when this low was put in. But you can see it's still really having a hard time going any lower than that. Every time it pokes through here, it gets pulled back inside the range. So, is this going to hold and we start moving higher? I don't know. We'll see. I do have this shorter time frame trend line sitting here to basically say, if we can come up and, maybe take out this swing high, which is the last tap on the trend line, then maybe we're going higher. But as long as this trend line keeps holding, prices will probably continue to roll. If we do end up coming down and taking out, this low right here, or this one over here, basically, take out this range and finally break lower, then we'll go lower. But as I mentioned, this area, even if you look at a cash chart of crude oil, this area has been, defended quite a bit. This general zone. If you look at a cash chart, you're going to see, although the price is a little different, you're going to see the same structure and the same buy up. So this area is really being defended, and not with them not really wanting price to go any lower than this. However, oil prices and gas prices have been trending lower here in the U.S., and so there might just be enough fundamental pressure to break it down a little bit. But again, this is really a super area that they're trying to defend, which you can tell by all these taps and buybacks at this area. But you can see that the bulls have not been able to, even though they've been buying it back here, have not been able to shift the momentum higher. And so, I have this zone drawn out, which is still valid. Although technically you might be able to say that, this one right here is now the zone to beat. I don't know, although this did not really put in a new low from this high. From this high to this low is higher than this low, so I don't really like that. I like to see these put in new lows to have that swing considered valid, and that this all is just a part of one move. But whether you want to call it here or up here, the bearish trend is still in place as long as one or both of these areas remain protected. But we could just sit here and just chop around and range trade for a while. I don't know. But again, so I'm not trading this at all. I'm not interested in it. If it comes up and starts moving higher and maybe takes out this zone, I might be willing to start thinking about longs. But I'm not going to do that until then. And I'm not going to look at any shorts unless we can finally take out these lows down here, which, again, we haven't been able to do. Okay, so I'm kind of neutral, not trading oil at all right now. I think better opportunities, persist in potentially short-term in copper, short-term in natural gas. And again, with the DAX, I kind of look at the DAX a lot like crude oil. It's run into a major area where it's chopped around before. So, again, if either this upper structure holds, unless that breaks or unless we take out these lows, I'm not trading DAX anymore right now either. So really just looks like short-term potential opportunities in copper and natural gas, at least for me. Okay? So that's futures. I just took those two trades today. They were good, but overall still was relatively quiet though. All right, so let's jump over to Forex, and we'll just look at this. Now, I made the video last night about trading currency divergence, and I took one trade today using that method. It was a long on the euro dollar, which I did close for a profit. Wasn't honestly all that great. The price didn't really move. I did get in a little bit late because that signal actually came early in the session before I was really tuned in. So I did take it because I felt like it did match what I was looking for, but it just didn't sustain all day. And that was essentially back here. So where are we today? This is Tuesday. Let's see if I can find where I actually got in. This is actual time. And it was Euro USD. 1700. Oh yeah, I'm not even looking in the right day here. Okay. Yeah, this is where I got in, was right here. Okay, so you see this is the euro right here, and we had this hockey stick. This is what I like to see. Instead of it just kind of like meandering up, and let's zoom in a little bit here. Right here. Okay, so this was around 8 o'clock this morning, right about 8 o'clock this morning at the start of the New York session for Forex. And usually that first half hour can be very manipulative, but I felt like when I saw this, I was pretty confident, and the euro dollar has been trending up. So when I saw this, I went long, but you can see what happened after that point. Really from about 8:30 on, the volatility on the euro remained very flat the rest of the day and continued that way. And of course, the opposite side of that, this was the US dollar. At that same time, we had this hockey stick straight down. And, so that's why I took the euro dollar long. But the same thing happened to the dollar the rest of the day. Kind of went sideways. So the pair didn't really move much after the first couple hours. And so while I did take a profit, it kind of petered out later in the day. And you can kind of see that here. Here's the actual Forex chart. So that would have been around, let's see, that was around 8 o'clock. It was right here. This was that signal, and I did go long, and then it pulled back. It started going higher, and I think I got out like over here somewhere. I went through here. I got to about break even, then it went back up, and I got out over here. And then you can see the rest of the day, it just kind of drifted lower and went sideways. So it just really stopped. The only other potential trade using that methodology today was potentially the euro Canadian short. So again, we had the euro long and at the Canadian dollar sunk. And that actually did move quite a bit. But I was just too late to the party and I just didn't want to risk it. So here was the euro Canadian. And again, we'll drop to a 15-minute chart. Let's find that 8 o'clock hour. Actually, that one was a little bit later. So yeah, it was basically right here. We had this big impulsive move up. It lasted for about, 45 minutes, and then that was it. I mean, that literally was it. It popped up right here. This is a 15-minute chart. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 1 hour. It pulled back, went up, hit that high again, and then plummeted the rest of the day. So I'm glad I didn't take it because I would have gotten in up here. The best I would have ended up with was, even at the best case scenario, would have been like 53 pips, which isn't bad on a 15-minute chart. But to be honest, I don't think I would have been sitting here in front of it watching this. And so when this came all the way back down later in the day, I probably would have gotten stopped out because I probably would have had my stop sitting right below this low, and I probably would have, got knocked out. So, or break even. So I didn't take it because like I said, I felt I was a little bit late to the party on it. Okay, so that was it, just the euro dollar. There wasn't really much else. Let me minimize this. This is my futures funded account here that's showing. Shouldn't have that showing. So the rest of the day, if we just look early on, we did have the Japanese yen move down a little bit. So like, again, there would have been maybe a short-term short position on maybe the euro, JPY, euro up. We had this little move down by the yen, but it was very short-lived, and essentially the yen, has been back inside of a range here. Went down and came right back up. That probably would not have worked out to be a good trade. The purple line is the Aussie, which really did nothing all day. And this green line is the Swiss franc, which also did nothing all day. And again, I don't have the British pound or the New Zealand dollar up here. The British pound, as I mentioned yesterday, is pretty much follows the euro. So I have it here. I just don't have it turned on. But if I do turn it on, here's the British pound, is this darker purple. And you can see, here's the euro, here's the British pound. You can see how closely they move. I mean, they went up at the same time, and then they both kind of went sideways the rest of the day. So I just don't feel like, just to not clutter up this chart, I can turn it on, but, I just chose to leave it off. And I don't have the New Zealand dollar up here at all because, again, the Aussie dollar and the New Zealand dollar move almost identically. So if I'm going to take a trade, I just pick one. If I'm going to take a trade that has the Aussie or the Kiwi, I'll just pick one because, to be honest, they're going to probably move the same. I'm not going to take both because it doubles your risk to take a trade with an Aussie and a Kiwi pair. Because if you're wrong, you're going to be, doubly wrong. Yes, if you're right, you'll be doubly right. But if you're wrong, you're going to be doubly wrong. So I just chose to leave the Aussie up here. It's a more widely traded currency versus the Kiwi anyways. And so that's just kind of the way I looked at it. So that's it. Yeah, so like I said, in terms of using this strategy, and you can go back and watch my video last night if you're wondering what this is, where I go into, these are basically currency indexes, and I'm basically just trading divergence between these indexes. And you can do this on any time frame. I like the 10 to 15 minute, although the 5-minute works okay too. But you can do it on an hourly, a 4-hour chart, a daily chart, whatever. You just have to be able to see these indexes. This is TradingView, where you can get all of them. And like I said, you go back and watch my video from yesterday. I spent the whole video talking about this. So I don't want to rehash all that now. All right. And then, of course, we're in the overnight session now. And, volatility is pretty bad this time of night. You can see most of these things are just moving sideways. We did have the Canadian dollar popped. Actually, no, this was the morning session, 13:45. Yeah, so this really didn't do anything. So we're just kind of like just chugging along here in the night session, not really doing anything right now. So, yeah. So I need to refresh this. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can get this to refresh. Come on, you can do it. Wow, that's weird. Probably should have thought about this, huh? Before I just did that. CXY. There we go. Get this back here. Where are we now? Okay. Yeah, I know why. I'm sorry. Because the index markets are not open all the time, so they're closed. So these index markets close at 5 o'clock. So they're not going to reopen again uh, until the overnight session, and so they're closed now. So that's why these all end at 5 o'clock. These are not 24-hour markets the way the forex pairs are. So, but you can see again, we just kind of drifted the rest of the day. There really wasn't too much else to do. So again, I only took that Euro USD long. So we'll see what it comes up tomorrow. But again, go back and watch the video from yesterday, and I review all of this. All right. So that's about it, guys. I'm just going to leave it there. I will look at this stuff tomorrow and see if there's any entries, based on the currency divergence in the morning after New York opens. By the time I get on the charts, I mean, I'm usually on the charts before New York opens, but it's like that. It's like that late morning London only, and usually prices kind of like start ranging in that short time in like what would be late morning in London just before the New York open. So, even if I get on the charts at 7 a.m., I'm probably not going to trade anything till after 8 a.m. once New York opens and you start to get the volatility back. So, and that's just the better way to do it, I think. So, yeah. Well, no, let's just look at this. I'm just while I'm looking at this. So let's see, I'm looking at this orange line, which is the Japanese yen, and I'm looking at this Canadian dollar line down here. So CAD yen around 130. So just for a laugh, let's go look at the CAD yen. Now this is the afternoon session, which is typically not going to have a lot of volatility, so I don't expect to see a lot. So let's see, 1 p.m. on my broker, 1500 is 8 a.m., so that would be 5 hours, so around 20 or so on my broker. Well, actually, that would have been a good trade right here. So here's that divergence right at 20:30. You can see it down the bottom of my screen. I know it looks really small. But this is about 1:30 p.m. Again, I don't usually trade at that time, but look what happened. We had this big pop up back to this high. Now, it went on for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7, about almost 2 hours. We rallied straight up back to this high and then stopped. Okay, and so again, it just kind of shows you the power of this. When you see these hockey stick moves like this. Where prices are not just like drifting higher, but you see these like parabolic moves like this, like the Canadian dollar straight up and the Japanese yen straight down. And this is where if you want to time it better, you can go to like a 5-minute chart. So let me go to the 5-minute chart and we'll look at them right here. Yeah, this is it right here on the 5-minute chart. So here's that peak of the yen and then it went straight down. Here's that trough on the Canadian dollar, and then boom, went straight up. Now, it looks a little bit more choppy here because you're on a short time frame. So maybe let's move it to like a 10-minute chart. See if that's any better. I mean, it looks about the same as the 5-minute. But you get the point, right? You can adjust it, and you can see these parabolic moves down. And if you can catch that, especially here, it shows like a higher low put in. I mean, this is basically the same type of analysis, even though this is just an index line chart, right? Price was going down, put in a lower high, and then shot up. And then, of course, if you're looking for something to trade it against, you just look at these and you're like, okay, here's at the time, the Japanese yen heading straight down, diverging away. And that would have been a great trade. Another one, although this one would have been earlier on, would have been the Aussie against the Japanese yen. That would have been, more like about 1 o'clock. So let's look at it's probably all the yen pairs, but do I have Aussie yen on the board here? I don't think so. Oh, here it is. Okay, so let me just quickly put Aussie yen on the board. Go to a 15-minute chart. Okay, and here's that same move right here. This was at 1 o'clock, and we just saw it on this thing, right? Here's the Aussie, here's the yen, right at the same time, and on the actual currency pair, you can see Right here, this low was put in. This looks just like the Canadian. So essentially, that's a yen move because they look identical. So that was just a moment of weakness for the yen in that 2 hour period. So probably all the yen pairs probably did that. But that was those were two very obvious ones you can pick out. But like I said, obviously those two moves were driven by the yen, weakness in the yen for whatever reason that happened during that short time frame there in that 2 hour span. Because it's basically the same move. So, but I just wanted to point that out. I wasn't planning on showing that, but I just saw it. So I'm like, let's just take a look. But that's what I mean. But, this does require you to be in front of the charts a little bit if you're trading on these short time frames. But anytime you're trading on a short time frame, you have to be in front of the charts, right? But if you can't, then certainly you can do this on a higher time frame and just wait for those moves to happen. It's a little hard to do this in back testing because the lines start to run into each other. But, like on the hourly chart, this goes back to last Tuesday right here. Yeah, this was at noontime, straight up noontime. We had this is the Australian dollar again, heading straight up. And what could we have traded against? Well, the US dollar right here. So the Aussie USD. Let's just look at this. So this was at noontime last Tuesday, Aussie USD. So let's find Aussie USD. And again, I'm just trying to give you guys some examples of this. Aussie USD last Tuesday. Is this it here? I already marked this out. Maybe I already showed you guys this. No, because this was 227. Last Tuesday, which was what was that, the 4th? Yes, right here. It wasn't a particularly big move, but if you look, right here, it's this move right here. Okay, this was right when that, and then it went down. Okay, now this only lasted again about 2 hours. Again, kind of the time of day, after about 11 a.m. Not particularly great, but you can see it went down for 2 hours and then it just shot right back up again. So again, it wasn't a particularly long-term trade, but it was there to take. And then prices started going back the other way again. And we can see the Aussie just continue to drift higher. Oh, God. Yeah. You can tell I'm getting tired. Okay, so it was Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar long. So, okay, that makes a lot more sense. So it was Aussie dollar long. And let me just look at the time one more time here. This was at, between 12 and 1 o'clock. Somewhere between 12 and 1 o'clock. This is an hourly chart. So we go back over to here. Let's grab my crosshair tool again. And, so you can see what happens here. So the big sellers. So this is a really interesting one, guys. I just want to point this out. I wasn't planning on doing this. You can see between noon and 1 o'clock, for those 2 hours, price actually was going down. And you're like, well, but the chart shows that the volatility on those two currencies diverging the other way. Well, you can see what the large traders did. They sold in order to buy. So they were looking to take the long. So while they were actually sitting there in the background, buying a bunch, they also had to push price down so they could get a good price. So they pushed it down, trying to entice sellers back in. And then when they got down here and could grab enough orders and liquidity down here, then boom, they shot it up. So this is really interesting that if you see something like this, where the divergence is where the indexes are showing that it should be doing one thing, but it actually is at the moment doing the opposite thing. Be prepared that opposite move is actually a fake out, and it's probably going to turn around and go. And then look at this parabolic move straight up. Okay, so I did want to point that out. I'm just seeing if there's anything else here. Well, this goes back to Friday. I think this is the other one I had on the chart with that dash blue line. This is the U.S. dollar versus the, this is U.S. dollar, Euro USD. This was Friday. at 8 o'clock. Or no, was this Monday? Yeah. No, this would have been, no, this would have basically been yesterday. The euro dollar straight up, right around market open or shortly thereafter. So if we go back to the euro just for a second and look at yesterday on the hourly chart. Yesterday was the 10th. Yeah, it was right here. Shot up, pulled back, kept going, right? So there you go. So it works really well, guys. But like I said, no, I'm making this video a lot longer than I want to. Go back and watch the video from yesterday to explain how that works. It definitely works, but you do have to just kind of use a little bit of intuition. Don't just trade it blindly. Look for those, what I call those hockey stick parabolic moves, where the line goes straight in one direction, not meandering with little, waves along the way, but you kind of see that straight line either up or down. And that's really what you're looking for, like this type of stuff, like straight up, not just this like choppy stuff like this, but we get these parabolic moves right up with almost no breaks, or or straight down like this, okay, or over here. I know it's a little hard to see these overlapping, like this one, like straight down. You get these parabolic moves. This is what you're looking for, okay, as opposed to like choppy stuff like this where price isn't really doing anything. Okay, that just shows low volatility. All right. Anyways, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I hope that was helpful. Questions, comments, leave them below. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll leave it there. I'll be back tomorrow. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you all soon.